Before this review starts, I want to let you guys know that I've started a new Facebook group, All Figures Go to Heaven. The point of this group is for people to share their pictures, their videos of their figures, any scale, licensed, KO, custom, 3D printed, doesn't matter. Not bashing any groups, but I feel like I just got personally tired of posts getting deleted because it was of an unlicensed figure or because you're self-promoting, when most of these groups are ran by big YouTubers, and that's fine, but I just wanted to make sure that there was a safe space for people to post when it comes to collecting. So links in the description. Hope you come join us.
Hey guys, welcome back. Wow, super excited to have these. I'm currently traveling in the UK. For those that maybe haven't watched my other videos, I'm an American, but I'm currently living in France. That's where I work, but I'm on vacation in the UK, somewhere I've always wanted to go. And you always see people from the UK getting stuff early. I saw that these were in stock on a site and I ordered them, and within 2 days they all showed up. I also was able to get the 77 Spider-Man, which I had pre-ordered at Walmart, but they canceled because they oversold pre-orders, which was super frustrating. But now it's just in my hands, and I buy stuff on Big Bag Toy Store or whatever, and I ship it to my place in the States. But obviously that doesn't really help me out here. So to be able to have all of these in my hands is incredible. So I skipped over Silver Surfer. I've never been a huge Silver Surfer fan, and I mean, obviously buying 6 figures already because I needed that Spider-Man. I can't wait to see the movie. If she's amazing in the movie, I'll track her down, but I needed the core team, and I also needed to make sure to get both forms of Johnny. We'll go over that, see how that holds up, swapping pieces, but all right, let's just get into it. So as you can see here, we have Johnny Storm and the Human Torch. Johnny basically comes with fists and these open arms, and then these 2 flame effects. I think the point of what they want to try to do, because they had those promo pictures of him just kind of like holding the flames in his hands, like he's just conjuring it up. I mean, it's okay. It gets the job done. The head sculpt is nice, it's not probably not the most amazing head sculpt we've seen, but not the worst either. But my thing was, I really wanted to buy both to swap parts. You've seen the Human Torch in the comics and other media being in the blue suit, but having, his flame on heads and hands. Everything swaps because it's essentially the same figure. 99%, 99.9% sure that it is even the same sculpt. Obviously, just different paint and different hair applications. However, the one thing that does kind of hold it back are the necks. I can tell it's a separate piece in there. It seems like there's a hinge in the torso too, though. I thought about putting it in hot water to heat it up to try to take it out. It seems like an absolute pain. The other thing is with this flame piece here, on this figure, the collar is just part of the torso sculpt, where here it actually is a separate piece and it's attached to the back. So unless you're taking an X-Acto knife to this, you're not going to be able to put this flame effect on the Johnny or any other figure for that matter. Kind of like same with the feet. These flame pieces are removable, but you'd have to pop the feet off, and I don't know, the foot pegs always scare me. The last thing I want to do is snap it. I literally just got these, but what I'm gonna show at least are changing out the head and the hands. And the good thing is that the head sculpt, especially in certain poses, you don't even see the flesh neck at all. Um, let's see here. So, like, you know what I mean? Obviously, if you have it from the side or the back, but just face forward, like you really can't tell. And his forearms also have these little flame pieces that are super nice. And pop in like that. Like, come on, that's awesome. And with these, also you can. Okay, you need to be careful. We obviously don't know what they are yet, but all of the figures have these little bands. You know, people are assuming they're either like time travel or turn powers on and off or suit powers. Who knows what they are? Even the Human Torch one comes with one in translucent plastic, so just definitely want to keep that in mind to not lose them. Also, with the flame effects that come with the Johnny, everything's translucent on the Human Torch figure. The flame effects with Johnny, they do have like a solid yellow paint, which it doesn't look bad. It does look a little cheaper, but also it is a different effect. So you can, curl it around the arm like that. And then the Human Torch comes with open hands as well. So, you just come in here and plug them in like so. And there you go. Down the line, I will probably mess with removing the feet because I really would like to get these flame effects on his legs. But yeah, I don't see that happening today. It's hard when, being in Europe, how seemingly hard it is to get a hold of figures and how much more expensive they are than the States. Because I got these, I think, for 23 British pounds a piece, which is normal and even cheaper here. Normally it's 25 pounds, but still that's going to be more expensive than the States. So, but you can see, let's see, he's got pretty decent range of motion in the neck. Obviously, it's going to be hindered a little bit more on this figure because of that back piece, but you can see you can get him. You can get him in those good flying poses. I'm just so excited for this movie. I I remember when the very first one came out when I was a kid and how excited I was and how much the Fantastic Four meant for me then. And that's another thing too, is just having to wait so long for figures. On Big Bag Toy Store, my pre-orders say August. So to have these a month before the movie comes out, it really makes me feel like I'm in a simpler time because we just don't really get that anymore. None of the figures have butterfly joints, which is not a huge deal. They don't have drop down hips either. I would say that is a little bit of a gripe, but also these costumes are so incredibly stylized that I'm willing to give it a pass just for the sake of these brand new sculpts. But yeah, no butterfly joints, no drop down hips, swivel at the waist, and then ball joint at the torso. I would like for them all to crunch forward more. They can go back pretty far, but yeah, the forward for some poses that I like to do aren't. It's not as much as I would like, but I understand. It would have been nice to have just like an ab crunch here, but splitting up that sculpt, they're trying to do as much as they can to, I think, keep the sculpts in place. So I understand, but yeah, I think that looks absolutely incredible. And this was probably like the number one thing I was most excited to do was put those parts on this body just to see what it looks like. And yeah, looks great. Maybe one day I'll mess around with the neck. I will say when it comes to some of these figures too, and I'll show them on the other ones, I think these might have been rushed just a little bit in terms of some QC stuff. I don't have any major um, paint issues. It's just going to be little things. It seems less than paint. It seems more so like um, you can see I do have a decent scuff right there. Um, yeah, you can see this, like the neck is turned. I'll put the ball down here so you can see it's turned to the left some. It's, you know, and I've tried cranking on it. It just wants to continue pushing to the left. It's really not that big deal. I'm gonna put this head on just so you can see, like, you can still put the head exactly where you want it, no problem. But yeah, it is just weird. And there is like dry glue, it seems. Like it looks like there's a splotch of glue right here that obviously split, and it doesn't hinder anything, but it is just kind of weird. Next we can take a look at Sue. Again, she's great for what you need. It's just, I think, the same sort of gripes with a lot of female figures. I don't really understand what the expression is here. I get it's supposed to kind of be like this, where it's just mouth kind of open, or like that scene where she has the force field, invisible field, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if it just really is not getting across. And the other thing is that the hair will get in the way. It's a great sculpt, and the paint applications are nice, but the thing that kind of sucks is that she can get in better poses. I think maybe it's because it's thinner, and also like there's the gap here, whereas here it's much more like solid in the sculpt. But like she can turn her head left a lot easier and look up and down. But her force field hand, sorry, is the right. And she comes with two fists, this just like a relaxed hand, and then this one. And I will say the effect piece is great. Like seeing the bullet impact points, fantastic. No pun intended. But yeah, it's just hard, I feel like, to get. I mean, she's looking, but of course the hair makes her tilt her head down, and it's just not exactly the best, but not the worst either. Again, white is always going to be the worst. You can see just like a little bit of overspray there, and I think there might even be some paint spray right there at the cut. Not that big a deal. Just something to note, you know. I mean, it's Marvel Legends. The paint apps are never going to be perfect. It's such a minor complaint, but I will say her facial expression is just kind of bland, in my opinion. Not terrible when it's obviously she's behind the field, but just standing looking, yeah, she is kind of looks like she's zoning out a little bit. Also has the bracelet. Yeah, not really a whole lot to report on her. She is kind of It's like what you see is what you get. But, you know, have to have all 4 of the Fantastic Four, so super necessary. All right, let's do the Thing next. I love that this guy wasn't a deluxe figure. I'm glad that they were able to make him as bulky as he is, but not upcharge it. He comes with 2 fists, 2 open hands. The sculpt is incredible. The brow, kind of like how they do with the hair pieces, it appears to be like a separate piece, which I find interesting. I don't know if it's actually made out of a different plastic or why they feel the need to do that. There's so much range in the head. It's incredible. Again, no butterfly joints. Another thing is that the bicep pieces have a lot of leeway in terms of like the way you're twisting them, and they're separate, which I know is not super crazy, but it was just like, whoa, when I was posing them earlier, just being able to float it like that. So just something when you're posing, make sure you're keeping them aligned. But also, that's if you want. Again, can go back really far. Forward is, I mean, virtually non-existent, which kind of sucks. And I was saying his range of motion, amazing tilt, amazing down, okay up. So like you can have him like crouched over a little bit and looking up, but you're not getting him in any, Wolverine poses or anything, which, isn't that big of a deal. But yeah, no butterfly joints, no drop down. Obviously these are very bulky hips, but he can, I don't know why you would need him to do that, but that is intense. You're not really going back at all. It's all going to be in the knee if you want that foot back. Give him in like a running, charging pose type thing. But super solid. I will say my left, I don't know what it is exactly, but the left foot just feels slightly off with the peg. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what it is. He does stand, so I'm sure it's not a problem. It just, something feels slightly weird with mine, so I hope it doesn't turn into like a QC issue or anything, but it should be fine. The sculpt is incredible. Blues are nice. This one, honestly, the only paint issues are right here. The black just didn't get it down all the way on the bottom, but I mean, what are you gonna do? How often are you looking at the bottom of his feet, or the bottom of his pant leg? I think this is quite suffice. And I really think that the eyes are obviously the print tech and more realistic, but this really could be a decent comic thing too. And same with the Human Torch. You would be able to fudge these into a different display if you needed to. And these, actually I haven't tried it on the Thing, but I'm sure. Yep, bracelets are removable too. So if you don't want to use those, you don't have to. Not that big a deal. Just gotta make sure not to lose them. The leader himself, Mr. Fantastic. Kind of similar to Sue, what you see is what you get. And the Johnny Storm figure for that matter. But having the 2, that makes up for it. But yeah, just not a whole lot to him. Obviously his main shtick here are the bendy arms. I've seen people that have been getting them already and taking pictures and poses. There's a weird gapping issue here because I'm assuming this is solid plastic, and then there's probably a peg here that goes into this bendy section. I don't know if it's gonna show up on camera. Hopefully it does, but I do have this like yellow dry glue here. I am gonna try to like heat it up and hopefully scrape it away some, but that was a little frustrating. This is, I think of the bendy arms, this is the main one, having that gripped hand versus, or that outsplayed hand, while the grip hand is, it's okay, but don't really have anything for him to grip. But yeah, it was a little disappointing to see all that yellow gunk on there. Hopefully it's showing up on camera. But yeah, this little gappage stuff is normal. Unfortunately. Not a huge deal. Again, it's Marvel Legends, You're not looking for SH Figure Arts quality with paint apps or anything. The arms are super easy to take out. You don't even have to heat them up or anything on mine anyway. And they just plug in like so. It's hard because we haven't seen a whole lot of what his powers do, like in terms of this movie specifically. We haven't seen Mr. Fantastic use his powers a whole lot, and of course I think about the old figures, how it would come with like the torso and the neck and a hammer hand and like a bunch of different stuff. I think the long arms are suffice for me. I would like more. I will say that the accessories do feel pretty skimped out on this wave, but also it feels like enough for me for right now. I know probably when the movie comes out and I see certain scenes or whatever, I'll be like, why didn't they put that in with the figures? And obviously I'm sure we're gonna get another wave of these as well. Interesting thing for me, I'm sure they've done this on other figures, but I just haven't noticed or don't have any that I've seen. The gray on the temples is the same printed tech as like the face and the beards and stuff. Thought that was kind of interesting that it wasn't just a thin layer of gray paint, but it is actually like printed on to the hair sculpt. I thought that was interesting, but same as all the others. Ball on the torso, just a split waist, no butterfly joints, no drop down. There's some blue missing on the bottom of the feet, but again, who's looking at the bottom of the feet? Other than that, the only thing is like that they're bendable. You're gonna be able to bend them, and I think some people might be more willing to push theirs than others. I haven't really messed around with him in terms of posing, because mainly what I've messed around with is Johnny. But I wanted to make this video as soon as possible because I know a bunch of people are starting to make their videos. I mean, what more could you want from these arms specifically? I'm kind of interested. I don't know if this is just ignorance on my part, but I don't see like holes for the bendable arms like you normally used to with other bendy arms. So I don't know if they figured that out. I can't remember. I'm sure someone will comment. The bendy arms from the Pulse exclusive VHS tape Doc Ock, if he had like the holes in those arms, I honestly don't remember. But yeah, no holes here, just kind of the gappage at that connected point there. I have my yellow glue situation going on over here. But it does what you need. So overall, I know this was a pretty quick down and dirty video, but you know, I'm traveling right now. I don't have the setup I normally would have to make this type of video. I just wanted to crank it out real quick, and I'll add some B-roll here at the end of some better posing photos that I do, but I just wanted to make sure I get these out because I know I'm not the only person that has been hyped for this wave of figures, and also just hyped for this movie. You know, Fantastic Four was one of my favorite things as a kid. Those first two movies meant so much to me. Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic is still very interesting to me. I think he's gonna sell me over in the movie. I'm excited to see it, but off rip, I was like, oh wow, that is pretty interesting. But yeah, I could not be more excited for this movie. Couldn't have been more excited to get these figures. Overall, I'm super pleased to have them. They just look so amazing together as a set. The Fantastic Four has always had such a great visual aesthetic of having the whole team together. Ugh, so good. Hopefully this was good for you guys. Just a little down dirty vacation video. And yeah, my next review that I'm looking to do is a third-party Mezco style soft goods Punisher. Should be shipping sometime in July, hopefully sooner rather than later. It's really hard buying figures in France, so just kind of doing it in my free time. When I'm able to do some figures that make sense to do a video for, I'll do it. Otherwise, I just kind of keep to myself and post photos on the Instagram instead. But so happy to have these guys right now. There's not much more for me to say. Definitely worth picking up. All right, see you next time.